Hello, welcome to our Community Safety Public Forum. I'm Amanda Mendez. I'm the publisher and co-owner of Howell County News, and I'm so pleased to see you all. Thank you so much for being here. So just quickly join me and do an invitation before we get started. Father God, we thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy in America. We thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy in Missouri. We thank you for our community and for all the people here who serve. We ask that we keep you in the forefront of our minds and hearts as we proceed tonight, and remember that we are all here for your glory and because we all love Willow Springs. Keep us in that spirit. Keep us in the spirit of communication and cooperation and neighborly love. Amen. Okay, I have a few housekeeping announcements on behalf of our gracious host, the Willow Springs Community Foundation. We are in the historic Star Theater, and you will find your exit straight out the back. Straight out the back, there's one in the wings. Restrooms are going to be to my right, ladies' room, men's room. And there are concessions available this evening. All of those persons are going to benefit our host, Willow Springs Community Foundation, popcorn and soda back there. So, tonight is a community forum. It's a town hall meeting. Our purpose here this evening is for the public to talk to our public officials. We're going to talk, they're going to listen, we're going to ask questions, they're going to answer, and we're all going to proceed in that spirit. So, everyone should have received, as they walked in, a little welcome document. Looks like this, where I've listed out exceptions to Missouri's Sunshine Law. So Missouri's Sunshine Law allows, but does not require, certain topics to be shielded from public knowledge. So there may be some things that we are wanting to get into tonight that as a member of the press, as a representative of the public, I'm not going to force it. They can choose not to answer. However, my goal here as the moderator this evening is if we are getting close to some of these subjects, I'd like to try to facilitate some questions that get as much information passed between these two groups of people as possible, because our public officials have shown us here tonight in good faith. They want to be transparent with you. They want to work on problems. They want to answer your questions. And so all I ask is that when we're asking our questions this evening, we do the same. We ask our questions in good faith. That we're asking questions that are going to be seeking information and not necessarily chasing after an agenda. So with that, I just wanted to quickly go over the list of some of the Sunshine Law exceptions, and these are the things that can be shielded from public view. And the first one is hiring, firing, disciplining, and promoting of a particular employee. That is an exclusive list. We can talk about other personnel matters, but those four things, hiring, firing, promoting, and disciplining, are allowed to be shielded. Legal actions, real estate matters, personally identifiable personnel records, software codes, records relating to existing security systems, and then records that are going to be prohibited from disclosure from any other kind of laws, like police officer civil rights. Okay, any questions on that before we get started? Well, then in that case, I've invited our public officials to sort of prepare a quick introduction of the year in review, just a couple of minutes to kind of let you know where things have stood over the course of 2024. And I'd like to perhaps invite our police chief, Wes Ellison, to get started. Wes?
Can you hear me all right? Thank you all for coming here tonight. As you said, we want to do this. We want to be as transparent as we can with the public. We want to answer your questions. We want to clear up any confusion or anything that you might have amongst us. We appreciate you being here. The police department's come a long way in the last couple of years, and we want to continue moving forward. And again, we appreciate you being here.
Okay, well, on behalf of the Willow Springs Fire Department, we have Interim Chief Alan Lewis here.
Just wanted to thank you guys again, like I said. Looking forward to answering questions as much as we can tonight, and hopefully we have a productive meeting.
Okay, and then on behalf of City Hall, we have City Administrator Beverly Hicks. Okay. So,
It's turning off.
Yeah. So, I'm Beverly Hicks. I'm the city administrator. I've been here for quite some time. Been working with the city for 27 years, and quite honestly, it seems, some days it seems like this is the most exciting job, and it just started yesterday, and there's times where it feels like I'm kind of at that place where it's time to maybe let someone else take the reins. But I will say this. I've born and raised here, and so everybody pretty much knows me, and I hope that because of that, they know my heart. So my heart is that we always continue just to do the right thing for our community, and make sure that we make the main things just the main things, and not, sometimes we get all balled up, and so that's that. We just want to kind of move on, but the bottom line is where we have good, healthy discussions. It really does help. I know at the last meeting that we had, there were some things that was brought up that we didn't even think about. One was the CIT program. There's a lot of things that we've done with that since that time, so it could be very, very productive. So we appreciate Amanda having this for us, and so I'm just would appreciate any questions that you may have.
perfect. Okay. Well, we're going to get started with our question that was submitted in advance. This is a question from Mandy Boyle. Here's my question. It is my understanding that a number of former fire personnel have applied to the fire chief position. Do city officials feel confident that their level of knowledge and experience, coupled with their level of safety practices and report writing skills, are equal to or better than the standard that has been set by the current fire chief?
Well, I will get into the fact that we did have 7 applicants. I was excited to see that we did have 7 applicants. We also understand as city officials that every person in a specific job has weaknesses and strengths. And, we try to work as hard as we can with the person that is a full round of all of those things. But we know sometimes that's not always the case. We do believe that the fire chief needs to hold a higher level of professionalism, which could include that level of knowledge and experience, but equally balanced with safety. The city of Willow Springs, one of the main concerns that I had even 20-some years ago is that safety was not always the atmosphere for the city, and I felt like that it's a big responsibility to take on when you're in charge of several people, and making sure, through the fact that everyone here pretty much, you want everybody to go home safely at the end of the night. So that has always been one of my highest levels of concern, and not as concerning as it was 20-some years ago. So I think we've improved on that a whole lot. As far as what we need in report writing, well, this is not just for the fire chief, but this is also for code enforcement as well. And so with both of those positions coupled together, writing skills are very important, because most of those reports that are sent in, they're either going to be read by insurance companies, or it's also going to be read by an attorney. And then, of course, it could possibly be in legal proceedings, and that person would need the ability to be able to tell that story in a way that would the factual information. So when you read your report, you need to be able to know exactly what went on from top to bottom by the time that the report is finished. So yeah, it's very important. Really, that is just one of those things that we think is very important. We feel like that we have people that possess those things. I do. I think that we're going through this hiring process. I think that that's what we're going to find out. So.
Well, I I would really love at some point later to come back to the upcoming hiring process, but for now, unless my fire guys have anything else to add to that answer. Okay, well, let's open it up to the crowd. Anyone has a question, we're going to pass you a microphone. And again, if there's anyone who'd like to submit an anonymous question, we do have index cards available for that in the back. And you can go back there and fill out the card, and I'll read it from the stage. So, questions? I got it.
First off, I want to say thank you for what you do. You put your life on the line, and I appreciate it. We lived in the Willow area going on 6 years now. Loved it. States. We lived in 6 different states, and this is home. Originally, Oregon County, okay? But I have to say that this is the first community that we've been a part of that makes us feel like we belong to the community, but also that cares about it for this. So we live on 10th Street on the west side of the football field. And there's a lot of traffic there as far as the foot traffic with kids and everything. We don't have the sidewalks there. We really need sidewalks in that area. My husband and I even talked about, we've got 2 lots there. We'd be willing to give up, part of that in order to get sidewalks on there. But it's not just a safety hazard during school year, but also during the summer. So many kids going to swimming pool and everything into the park. But would like to see possibly something done along that line.
So yeah, that area has absolutely been identified as an area that we would like to have sidewalks. We call it safe routes to school. That's part of an initiative that we looked at for years. We've been denied those grant monies on several different levels. I know that it's very competitive because of the amount of small rural communities that actually put into that. Sidewalk is just very expensive, but I will say, if you look around, we have been trying to just, we understand how important it is between Main Street because of safety issues too, kids walking up on Summit and going towards Campbell, and going up towards the school, and we had to replace that because there was no place for the kids to walk. So we did. You have an area that's a little different if there's hills there as well, and I don't know how many times we've driven through there, and you have to when you start reaching the hillside, which you kind of have to watch, because you have to know that there are kids that live over there, one, but 2, there's just a lot of traffic there as well. And so, it is on our mind. I'm not, I would sit here and tell you, yes, we're going to do that in 2025, and we're going to do this amount. I will say it is on the list. We do that every year. We look to see what we can do. The toughest issue that we have over there is there are a lot of utilities. We're really close to the right of way, and we don't have a lot more right of way. And some people, not like you, that don't really want a sidewalk on their property because it takes a big part of the property, and I totally understand that. So it's just working with the public to get that done. But yeah, I think it's definitely on our mind.
Follow up on that, Donna? Are you satisfied with that, or? I am. Okay, thank you. Well, okay. All right. Okay. No worries. Oh, Lord. Yes.
I have quite a few questions, but how do you want me to do this? Just one at a time, or take turns?
Yeah, let's do one at a time. If they're kind of all on the same subject, we might stick with that same subject before we move on. But yeah, let's do what you got.
Okay. My question is, why did the police department get a 30% increase and the fire department got a 30% decrease in funding?
You're doing that for the 2025 budget? They did, or the fire department did not get a decrease in funding. Yeah, it's an increase.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's not what I heard, so I
Well, I have it right here, so, okay. Actually shows, it was $94,720. It actually, just a couple of years ago, was only $68,000. But it's raising to $94,720, and we've actually extended year to date $102,992.88.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I think what you might be thinking of is that towards the end of 2023, there was a budget adjustment that increased the police department budget of around 30%. That was all. But that was at the end of 2023. Yeah. And I don't recall, okay, but I don't recall corresponding decrease for the fire department, so that, okay. All right, what's next?
is it normal practice for the fire chief to not drive a fire truck and not wear safety gear on the scene, or to drive a city police vehicle to rural fire calls?
Because I also work at the police department, so I have a company vehicle for that. So that's one of the reasons why I do that. Right now, PPE is a problem for all of the fire department. We've identified some new PPE and we're trying to get some new stuff to the department. But right now, the people that are wearing the PPE are the people that are actually doing the job going into the structures. The old chief, Vance, he used to be an active firefighter who leads the structures. I don't go in. I'm sort of older than Vance was. But that's primarily the reason why I don't have that stuff as on the scene. The assistant chief does.
Also have an increase in employees as well, and so people that are qualified are the ones, I mean, it's really hard to have enough for everyone in the volunteer fire department, but if the chief is not going to physically be inside, and that needs to go, that safety equipment needs to go to someone that's in the structure, working fire.
Sure. Well, let's just jump in here, and Lori, if you don't mind, would you guys just kind of define and explain for anyone who might not know what a volunteer fire department is?
I'm not sure I understand completely, but basically, I come from a department that was a staff department, and when I was there, we ran about 4,000 calls a year. That department today is working 11,000 calls a year. Our department, I believe, it runs probably about 275, right around there annually. But we don't have the funding for a full-time staff department. We can have everybody there ready to go. So we do rely on volunteers to fill those slots. And right now we actually have a pretty great group of people to do that. But again, everybody's busy. There's a lot of people that don't really have the time to volunteer, or they have jobs that take them out of the area. So that presents challenges for the departments. I know that some of the past chiefs. I mean, I know Pat has been here. He did things like grants to get PPE in for wildland gear. Some of that stuff now. We're out of date. We need to get new gear. And unfortunately, if it's not something that you can do on a regular basis for replacement, the pricing is staggering now to get a firefighter set up. I mean, this last year we spent $60,000 on SCBAs because our pilots were going out of date and the equipment needs to be replaced. When you add PPE like structure gear, helmets, apparatus, things like that, just the money's just not there.
Okay. And Jeff, I think you have something on the list for.
So sometimes it gets a little confusing when we talk about volunteer fire. For years, and everybody talks about volunteer fire departments. The city of Willow Springs pays their volunteer fire department employees, and so once that happens, when we pay our employees, they are actually part of the city, and so they fall under all of the policies that the city has. So really, I think for ours, it really would be better defined as a part-time fire department rather than a volunteer, would probably be a better word for that. That's just a word that's always been used for years, so.
All right. Or do you have more? Yeah. I have two more, one's a three-part question. I'm gonna just ask a simple one first. Does, Sam Waldron's credits transfer to Missouri from Tennessee? They do? Okay.
And by credits, you mean his fire
qualification. Yeah, his qualification. Okay.
I mean, right now, the only one that wouldn't is just his EMT, just because it lapse. He's had his training, but he's not certified with the state right now or the board.
Okay. Why is there no rural board? For the rural fire department?
There is a rule there. We just
When
reestablished.
did that happen? Because it didn't happen for a little while with you, right? This year.
February.
We started in
year, I think, February or March.
Yeah, I mean, after the first meeting, I think that we had, it was identified that we needed to work in that department, so there was a lot of effort that was put in, but we've got actually very proactive work right now. In fact, I've got some statistics on that as far as membership, and, in 2023, we had 442 members, and then in 2024, due to the efforts of that new rural board, we have now 538 members, and we're getting more every day. That represents just in that alone a 22% increase. And then in 2023, because of the status of the rural board, we hadn't done any invoicing for services to the county for non-members. Year to date, right now we're looking at 10,755 as they invoiced, which is that's 10% of my budget, over 10% of my budget.
Who's paying the rural fire department? City taxpayers or the rural taxpayers?
The rural.
Finding it.
So basically it's memberships, they pay $50 for that service.
City people or rural? Or just the rural people that are members?
Rural, I think that there might be some members in the city that just do it just to help out, because they know that there's a need. But that's basically rural.
So it's like a subscription
Yeah.
service?
Yeah. Okay. I can't pass my last question, it's on the sunshine. So I'm not gonna ask it. All right.
If you'd like to write it down, and pass it on, maybe we could figure out a way to address your concerns.
No,
I don't want anyone leaving here feeling like you have a question that's gone unanswered.
well, I guess my question is, why are you telling the entire city that Adam Webb resigned when you actually fired him?
So that is one that's going to be really difficult to get into because it is a personally identifiable, it's a personally identifiable personnel record. But I do feel as if we put some things in the public record on that particular question. So I'm going to 100% leave it up to you, Alan. I'm okay either way.
I mean, I'm not going to get into any personnel issues. It's just really nice. I mean, I'm here to basically, ever since I came in January, to try to build up the department and try to do the right thing.
I just don't agree that building up your department is letting go one of your best volunteers that you've had for years.
Thank you.
Well, again,
We're gonna let him.
So I can tell you that when I first came in, I had a meeting on January 2nd, and I had some new ideas, and some of those ideas were, involved change, and that right there is something that caused grief and problems within the department. Change is something that it doesn't always come well. You know, sometimes it's needed. From talked about earlier, some of the things were safety related. I've got a pretty extensive safety background, and so for me, I've been in departments that were involved with line of duty deaths. It's something that I'm passionate about. I identified some immediate issues, and it rubbed some of the guys the wrong way. It just did. You know, to me, we can't put people into an IDLH environment, which is immediate dangerous for life and health, and wear an SCBA with facial hair that, I mean, you can't get respirator fitting with that. And so, I immediately got pushback on that when I told them that I required them to have a clean shaven where the respirator would fit against the face. I got pushback initially for that it was a volunteer department. And, you know, this is the way we've always done it. And those words right there are like kryptonite for me. You know, doing the right thing isn't always the easiest, but it's always the right thing. So I had a couple people step away at that time, because of that. And so I can tell you that I haven't asked, and I've asked some people to consider their place on the department. I let people know on that first meeting that there was going to be, continuous improvement, and that things weren't going to be the way it's always been done. You know, I have to comply with OSHA and NFPA requirements. It's not defensible for me as a chief, and it opens the city up to liability. So, I can tell you, I didn't fire anybody, regardless of what has been said. And
I don't believe you, but thank you very much for your answer.
you're quite welcome.
While we're on the subject of the fire department, does anybody have anything else that we want to talk about with either the rural fire board or the Willow Springs Fire Department? Any other questions while we're on that subject? Yes, Don.
I just want some clarification as far as the rural fire, department board. I live in the city limits, I've got 3 siblings around Willow Springs. So do they need to be a part of that in order to get the fire service, or is 11 Point District part of that, or curious?
Okay, so the way the way the rural fire board works is anyone that lives outside of the city limits can pay that $50 a year due. We are going to provide service as long as, if no matter if they're a member or not, we're going to provide the service either way. Where it comes, the $50 comes into play is if you're a member, you're not going to get billed. If you're not a member, you will be billed by the rural fire board, and that's not by the city. The city contracts to the rural fire board to provide services in that area. So we're going to, if you're in the district, no matter what, the whole area is broken up into districts. We're going to provide service. And with fire specifically, in our rural district, we have automatically, so there's a difference in automatic and mutual aid. Mutual aid is something where we request someone else to come help us. Automatic is as soon as we're toned out for the fire or call, another department as well. In our rural area, you'll get us and 11 Point. In the city, it's us, 11 Point, Mountain View, and Pomona, and sometimes Peace Valley, and Pumpkin Center, depending on what part of the area it is. In all of our surrounding districts, we all have mutual aid, and we're also, the state of Missouri is a statewide mutual aid area. So if we have a big enough call, technically, it's not even going to happen, but technically we could request Springfield or even Kansas City to come help us with it. So you're going to get service on it.
So part of that is the boundary. Is it the 65793 zip code, or what's the boundary for that?
So
the boundary is the Willow Springs School District, except for the Pumpkin Center area, which is south of 5120, and the Pomona Fire District, which is from U Highway south. Now, 11 Point also has a fire district that is curved out to the east of town, that's east of 60 and south of 60 at Hutton Valley and area like that. So that's how, if they live within, say, 2 miles within the city limits, they'd be in the Willow Springs Rural Fire Association.
Okay.
right, if anybody does have a question about that, where Dean is actually the president of the rural board, and then our secretary is Kim McCormick, they deal with that day in and day out.
Come on up, Kim.
But they've put a whole lot of time into making sure everything is the way it's supposed to be, and you can throw out an address and they can probably find it within a minute or two, tell you what it was.
The headline to take away is that if you call, someone will come, but where your specific location will determine where you need to be paying. And so we can help you get that answer. And for anyone who may not know, this is Sam Waldron, Assistant Fire Chief down here on the end, answering some questions. Okay, I have a follow-up question on something that we had discussed, but I do want to throw it back out to Ms. Brown if there's anyone else who has some fire department related questions.
I want to address the facial hair thing, because that's not always been the norm. That has never been the fact. That was after several years of we never allowed facial hair.
And I wasn't even implying that was something that you.
Well, I know, but I'm just.
Okay, I just want to make it clear, you know, it was when I came in, I see everybody wearing beards.
And that's how it should be. That's what, I'm 100% with you. I was saying that back in the day, you referred back in the day that it's just the way it's always been. It's never.
Right, and I want to go on the record that wasn't not the thing. I mean, I can tell you that from what I've seen, things that you did when you were in there were very good written programs and SOGs and SOPs, things that you and I have talked about. And so, you know, the thing is, you know, with the percentages and stuff like that, and overall and all these different things, I in good conscience cannot allow people to continue down the path, and I know it's not going to be good for them long term. You know, it's just I can't. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my follow-up question on the question about the rural board. So I understand from the answer that there was a period of time during which it was defunct and not functioning. When was that exactly?
I think that began in 2013. Dean, am I correct?
Yes.
No, there was a rural board. No.
There has always been a rural.
There has always been a rural board.
It is a volunteer organization.
It is.
And sometimes people are better suited to serve, and you know it's been difficult.
I think the key to that would be functional rural board, and what we have now is two different things. And there was a lot of people on that board that was probably doing everything, 2 or 3 people. And it got to the point where a lot of those people had been on there for such a long period of time. And I understand, you know, after a while, you want to give those reins to someone else. And we tried several times to reestablish and just could not get volunteers to want to serve on it. It is time consuming to the point that it takes one night a month, and then you do volunteer for a lot of things that you guys do. And it does, you know, that is part of that. So when I said 2013, that's when we started seeing the decline and the being able to collect dues on their own and having enough people to do that. And the city was always, and it's part of the contract as well, that we would aid in any of that is needed. And so because we know they're volunteers and we understand that, and so that kind of went from us helping doing some of that to doing a lot of it, and we needed to get back to what the contract actually was about. And so I was very appreciative this year when we have a group that is functioning and wanted to provide that.
This year, and there was just an election in October.
Early in the year.
Or in November.
Oh, there was another. Yes, correct.
So it is, that's something that I have seen personally where it is functioning and having elections.
Yes.
Rolling out. Okay. Any other fire department related questions before we go on?
I have a question.
Yes, Lori.
My question is specifically for the fire department, specifically as you've written the job description for the fire chief and what you're looking for from a requirement perspective. Having been a volunteer fireman myself and being a family of volunteer firemen, it's kind of a little bit concerning to see the duties of the animal control in the fire chief position. So I think it'd be appropriate to really talk about that, because that's really starting to step into some law enforcement territory, especially code enforcement, going on people's properties, claiming animals, that type of stuff. So it's a little bit concerning, kind of mixing those duties, so it'd be helpful to understand kind of the logic around that.
I absolutely agree. It was tough. One of the things that we thought would help us find someone for our future, and what we needed for the future would be the fact that we really needed a full-time fire chief. And however, the funds are not there, and sometimes, I mean, and he can probably tell you, sometimes a fire chief's not a full-time job. Like you said, we had 200 and some calls. I mean, we've been around this for a long time, and we know that there's not really a full-time position. However, we have an individual that is in the police academy right now. Sorry. That is going to be becoming a police officer in June of next year. And we have that position. Now, the code enforcement side actually runs well with the, thank you, Wes. For throwing me off my kilter, all right? Now you know what I was saying. But the code enforcement side actually does kind of go hand in hand with the fire chief, because they're working with the building inspector. That's what we're looking for in that position, is a work between that. And for example, patrol, unfortunately somebody has to do it. But you're right, it does require policies to be followed, and it's kind of a different genre, but we have a lot of individuals in our police department that actually have worked in the fire as well. So sometimes, like you on that, it's like you have one, you have the desire to do the other. And so, no, do I think it's the best case scenario? No, but for the city and the positions that we have available to make an offer for someone to have as a full-time position, that's how it worked out.
Does that address your question, Lauren?
Yeah, I think so. Just the background.
Okay, so before we move on from the fire department related business, I wanted to kind of circle back to something that the first question touched on, because we haven't done a news story, we haven't made any kind of formal announcement about it yet, but looking towards the future, can you describe for us a little bit about what the search for the new fire chief is going to be like?
So currently, we have 7 applicants, and we have decided to put together a hiring committee. And I hope everybody's okay with that, but I'll just let you know who will be on that committee. Dean A, Susan, and Dean A is from the Rural Fire Board. Susan Rackley, which is from the PSAC group. Robert Hollis, which is the chair of that group. Amanda Mendez, which is at all of our meetings and is very involved in public safety. Ryan Boyle, which is sitting to my right, is actually with the State Fire Marshal's office currently. Kim Rich and Jennifer Owens both will be liaisons with the council as well. So that's a total of 7 people that will be on the hiring committee. We do understand how difficult it is to set up interviews where all 7 of those people can be involved right here at Christmas time. It's just really difficult to receive information from most of those people to try to see if we can get dates put together, and that's been a little bit difficult. And so we're going to take our time, but all 7 of those individuals will be interviewed, and then we'll go from there. At that point, either we have a really good view of how to move forward, or we will maybe have second interviews. I'm not really sure if, if 2 people might pull from that group, and they might have second interviews. I don't really want to say what the hiring committee wants to do, because I think that needs to be a discussion with them as well. So, now it goes from there. At that point, though, the hiring committee at some point will then recommend someone to the council to approve in a regular council meeting. So, and that may take a little bit of time, but that's okay, because I think it's important to make the right decision.
Okay, thank you. So I do have here a statement that was submitted from the 11 Point Rural Fire Department Fire Chief Ryan Van Horn. He asked me to read this because he couldn't be here tonight.
So here it is from Chief Van Horn. The men and women of 11 Point Rural Fire Department support each person and department on stage tonight. We have worked very well with both departments for years and will continue to work with and support them as needed, whether on duty or off duty for years to come. Okay. So, yeah, unless there are any other fire-related questions, I think we can move along to some other public safety. Yes. No, you go ahead. Okay. I think we can move along to the next topic. So I have questions prepared, or we can open it up for anything else that might be public safety related. Maybe streets, police, code enforcement, safety concerns, crime.
The fire chief be in charge of emergency management?
So it sounds like I have to, yes. I like to take the end of it out.
There's somebody to help fund the full-time fireman.
Oh, well, we hope. But honestly, then, emergency management director is part of my job, and it's not a hat that I really would like to continue wearing. Of course, I always want to respond to emergencies because I'm the city administrator, and I think it's important for us to see exactly what all of these folks on this stage do on a regular basis. But the bottom line of it is that I would really like that person to take that over in the future. Okay. Anyone?
Has anybody reached out to try to help the homeless people that are living up under the bypass there? Have you noticed that the last few days? Is there any place for them to go? Huh?
Has that just been in the last few days? Because I know they did that.
I saw her up there 2 days ago. I had to take my stepbrother to West Plains, and it was very cold last night. I was just wondering if what we do. I know we have a ministerial alliance and things like that, but what would the police department do with people like that?
Really, there's a homeless shelter in West Plains. Yes. We have nothing here in town. Yes, we have ministerial alliance. They can help them maybe for one night. A lot of these people, we try to get them help. We try to call family for them. We try to help them the best we can. We even have people volunteer to give them a bus ticket somewhere, and they don't want it. So our hands are kind of tied with it, and unfortunately, it's not illegal to be homeless. So it's.
Well, when I worked for MoDOT in Kansas City, been a few years back that I did. One of our jobs was to deal with the homeless under the bridge. As long as they kept their area clean, they were fine. We give them trash bags and stuff. But, if it was too much or whatever, they had to move out. Now, I never thought that it would be a day that in Willow Springs, Missouri, where we would see homeless people under our bridge. And that just breaks my heart. With our hometown that we can't figure something out because I know the truck stop brings a lot of people into our area that are not from around here, and they'll stay or whatever, and then they have nowhere to go. I mean, I know we can't just be taking care of a bunch of people, but it's cold now, and I just didn't know.
It is. Again, our hands are kind of tied with what we can do. We can't violate their constitutional rights by taking them somewhere if they don't want to go. Actually, it's kind of thinned out quite a bit from what it was before. And
So, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your question was more about like the humanitarian efforts versus crime enforcement. So I think. But,
Well, I just didn't know what the police did. Do they run them off, or do you help them in some way?
that's the question. Do you know?
if they don't want help, we end up running them off, to be honest with you, because, I understand the situation, I get it, but some of them don't want help. We've offered to take people places they don't want to go. And, if Willow Springs was to create some type of a homeless shelter, that's going to draw more here. It's going to end up being a larger problem. So it's kind of a catch-22 on it. So,
Well, they're not bothering anybody under the bridge.
no,
You would
no, and we don't go run them off or anything unless we get complaints on them.
Okay.
You know, if somebody trespassing on the property, we talk to them.
You also had that same instance where we had people, down at Booster Field and people that was trying to walk and use the interpol document. That's how we were working on that. But that also becomes an issue when, you've got somebody down there, you see them suddenly and you've got women walking down there. We've had a lot of complaints about that. So it's one of the things that we are telling you, you have to move on from here because it's actually happening. And we don't want something to happen, from someone. So I think that you guys do a really good job of trying to find out their identity and maybe, just kind of see what their background is. That's not always feasible either.
Let me jump in with a question here, but to my recollection, if it is correct, I'm only recalling one actual criminal case filed involving a homeless person in Willow. So that is the majority of the ones who have been here are not engaging in criminal activity, which is correct.
No, we haven't seen anything major. I mean, there's been some small cases where we were trespassing or something like that, but that's when we have people calling and complaining. We haven't really seen any of them that appear to be like they were committing any strong.
Well, the woman now that's living up under the, I have met her, I know her name and everything. She has no family. I was just wondering if we had anything in our town for them or anything. That's usually the first thing we do is start calling the churches to see what they can help with because they usually will take something like that and take it on. Okay.
It's the same woman I'm thinking of. She was living out in the county, east of town here not too long ago. And I think the property owner complained on him. I know the sheriff's office was out there. And,
Big gray coat?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Because I do have a submitted question from somebody that I'd like to get to. Anyone else have anything pressing on their mind right now? So this is a question that's been submitted anonymously from a reader in Willisburg. A high school student prepared a meal for the police department and their families, but was turned away the day he showed up with a meal for 30. Can you explain why?
I can, actually. He did call our office, and I gave that information to our sergeant to coordinate with him to set something up. Apparently, according to my sergeant, who's not here right now, there was a lot of miscommunication as to the amount of people and exactly what was going to transpire. And I think it was probably a little bit on both parts, and we dropped the ball on that. And I have since sent a letter to that student through his father apologizing for that. We're always willing to help students out on their projects, and we always have in the past. So that was our bad on that. We dropped the ball. I don't feel bad about it. We can't turn it around.
Thank you. Opening it back up to the crowd. Any more questions?
How important is it for the police to have a positive communication line and relationship with the youth of our community?
Well, I think it's very important that the youth can view us as approachable and come and talk to us when they need to. We can talk to them. I mean, we got to have that open line of communication with them. Doing these projects with them and stuff. I think we all enjoy doing that. Officer Gates was involved in that last accident project, wasn't it? We've even had some that have had some issues with problems at home and stuff, and they've actually asked some of our officers what they can do and ask for advice. And I like that. I want them to feel welcome to be able to speak to us anytime they need to, and if they have a problem, come to us. Well, I hate to see some youth commit suicide in our city or anywhere. I mean, because if you think back on your childhood, there was nothing that happened that you just want to take your life over. And these guys are thinking for today only. And, there's a couple of them that I even talked with the school. I'm like, if you have any thoughts of anything about harming yourself, anything, call me. Call me at home. I don't care. I'll talk to you. I'll come and pick you up and talk to you. Come right along. Come see one of our guys. So I think that's very important to have that relationship with them.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, more questions? Okay, fill it in. Is the practice of writing speeding tickets a revenue mechanism for the police department or the city? Does the city make money on writing speeding tickets? That's a question for me.
I'm over here with the numbers, I'll give this block. Well, I'm just going to keep it, I'm sorry, I'm not able to speak very well tonight. So I'll just kind of give you where we are right now. I think that we did the last, we did an update there as well, so I will give you another update. Revenue this year, just for court revenue, and understand that court revenue comes in from court fines, court costs. Right now totals for the year $67,478.54, and that is the amount of revenue that just came in. The court department, just to provide a municipal city court, which includes salaries for the clerk, professional fees for an attorney, prosecuting attorney, and also for a judge, and for just the regular supplies and materials, places, internet, some of that nature. Anyway, total at this point right now in the budget, we have expended $89,090.79. So you can see that we're in the red before we even get to the expenses for the police department. So it definitely is not a money-making thing. That's not what we set out our views on this, and we never have. It's more really about just keeping citizens around our area safe. And we know that there's going to be a cost for that service, just like there is in all other departments. But the bottom line of it is, it's not money-making.
So the conversations that we've had in the past about the ticket writing procedures, you guys have shared with me the philosophy that if you're, it's incumbent upon every citizen to make sure that you're following the law, and if you're following the law, you can expect to be pulled over. So I guess my question is how common is it? Is it common at all for these traffic stops that you're making to reveal some sort of larger criminal activity, or are we really just doing the traffic violation?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't give you a percentage, but it's very common to make traffic violations. And, well, let me give you an example. April 19th, 1995, a trooper stopped a vehicle for no license plate. He had a gut feeling about the stop, and he had the person walk back between his vehicle and the police vehicle. He seen an outline of a gun in the person's waistband. So what he ended up doing was arresting that person on a weapons violation, not knowing that that driver was responsible for 168 deaths about 80 miles south of where he stopped him, and that would have been Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. So there's reasons why we make a lot of stops for minor stuff. It's not just because we want to punish someone for not having a cross plate or not. For the most part, we don't even write those citations. We just ask people, hey, you need to take care of the situation. If we don't see anything, we don't get probable cause on anything else, free to go. So it's not just a stop just because it's a violation. A lot of times it's a stop because it might be somebody who we suspect of doing other crimes within the city. We might find stolen property. We might find drugs, warrants. Some of our most common ones that we come across here, we get warrant arrest, we get suspended and revoked license, drug possession, and DWI. So whenever we do issue citations, we want to try and make it for a public safety reason. So, speed right now, out on Highway 60, and I know I've spoken to you about it before, over 95% of our citations out there are for speeds of 80 and over. Yeah, a lot of times well over 100.
Okay, open it back up to the crowd. Yes.
Self-defense courses. My husband says if I'm ever attacked, just use my purse and they'll be down. Not a problem. But if I'm but if I'm outside of my yard working and, something happens, I don't necessarily know how to defend myself. And I can't scream it out. I can yell, but, during those times. So have you ever thought about doing something for the citizens as far as the self-defense course?
Yes, we actually put on the Citizens Academy a few years ago. We tried to do it the following year. We didn't get very much of a response from the community, but yeah, we'd absolutely love to do that again and incorporate something like that. We have a lot of qualified officers that can teach that kind of stuff, and I mean, if you can get something set up, if you know other people that want to be involved, sure, we'll work with them.
What about gun safety? I'm all for having guns, believe me, but making sure I know how to use them effectively. Is that something that
Yes, we have firearms instructors that can go over that, and we can actually we can put together a citizens class for firearms, and some of them are NRA instructors too. So.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
To what standard do you hold your officers and why?
Well, I hold my officers to a very high standard because I want them to present a professional image to the public. I want them to be professional with their contacts. They're going to have some empathy for people. This is a small community. We all have to live together, and we all have to get along with each other. And the more that the police department and the officers are respected, the better that everything flows smoothly for us and for the community.
Do you feel your officers make that hard for you? Sorry? Do you feel your officers read your heart?
Well, there's always room for improvement. But, yeah, we're looking towards that.
How many officers do you have on staff right now?
We have 10 officers right now. Again, when we first had this forum, my goal was to put 2 officers on per shift. And, we have accomplished that now. Sometimes there's more with shift overlaps and, guys that might be working with state grants. And sometimes they're training, but obviously having the 2 officers on have decreased a lot of our calls for service. Actually, so far, up to about 1,000 calls this year. Burglaries, property crimes are all down compared to last year.
I know one thing that came up at the last one. One of the people brought up about CIT training, and I know that was one thing that we also did put some people through that crisis intervention training, which was very, very good.
Sure, for those, can you talk a little bit about what crisis intervention training is and the purpose?
Well, it's kind of like what the chief just mentioned about the empathy part, just dealing with people where they're at. There's a lot of mental health issues right now. The training basically helps you identify different resources you can turn people to. And it just gives the officers a little bit more tools to work with. As far as being able to, it's not reality that, that everybody that you deal with incarceration isn't always the best choice. I think Sheriff Campbell brought that up a while back. It's just not the best, and so it gives you options, mental health options, and just different resources in the county that can help deal with those issues, veteran issues, stuff like that.
Well, it looks like you have life again. What's on your mind?
My husband works for Midwest Walnut. He's maintenance there, and the boiler goes out in the middle of the night. And we'll go down there, and if I'm sitting in my car, I've had 3 police officers. I'm sound asleep in my car with it running, the heat on, and I've had 3 police officers, different ones, knock on the window who want to know what I'm doing. I mean, I understand you're protecting and everything, but, just know that there are people that work down there and have to go when that water goes out. So,
Well, and I'm glad they do it, knock on your window. I was wondering what they contact with stuff like that. You never know what you're gonna find. But if you're there often, you would think they would remember your vehicle.
Yeah.
Let you do it. Back when I worked overnight, I think I stopped the newspaper delivery person several times. But I finally figured out the vehicle that they drove off.
one more quick one. The highway out there, you guys control that too, the bypass
Yes,
around? Is that city limits?
yes. From the north junction to the south junction now, it's part of the city.
Okay. I don't like that. I'm just saying, so I like to speed through there. I don't want to get
Take down the limit. So I guess while we're on the subject of city limits, that kind of did come up last time, let's just go over it again. What is the pursuit policy? Are your officers allowed to leave city limits?
Yes. If an officer initiates a pursuit, they have reasonable belief that a fleeing suspect committed or attempted to commit a violent felony, and if allowed to flee, that he could present an immediate danger to or cause serious injury to human life. Last week, I believe it was last week, we got a pursuit on Highway 60. Guy was doing in excess of 80 miles per hour. An officer turned around, the guy passed a semi-truck on the right, and I allowed that to go on. Traffic was low. We were on Highway 60. There's no stoplights. Highway Patrol got in the pursuit with us, as well as the Bull and several other agencies. All the way to Seymour, where my officer terminated. They continued to pursue all the way to Springfield and ended up terminating. They lost the guy, so we haven't been able they threw stop sticks out like 7 times.
I saw that. I was coming back from Springfield that day, and I was like, why is Willow Springs police up here? I saw what was going on.
So if we have a crime that's committed, if you see a violation within the city limits, you're allowed to go outside the city limits and make a stop on that person. Or if you have a county commission, you can stop within the county. We don't practice that, just make it stop in the county. But yeah, if they see something here, some of our old Tahoes, they don't get up and move very fast, so a lot of times they don't catch them till outside the city limits.
We had one vehicle, was it last year, 163, through town, or through the bypass.
I remember that. That was front page 7. Okay. Yes.
Do you have a policy on motorcycle pursuit?
Do you have a policy on motorcycle pursuit?
Normally we do not pursue motorcycles or ATVs or anything like that. That's kind of a losing battle. Some of those can run up to 200 miles an hour.
Now you know. Okay.
I have a former motor officer here, Mike Zeller, that we just hired on. He retired from Phoenix Police Department, was a motor officer and sergeant there. So. Stand up.
I just want to say that not a lot of good comes from
I have a couple questions. So we heard from the part-time firefighters don't have all the PPE they need. Do our police officers have all the PPE that they need?
We actually do have
We do
what
have it
we need
now?
right now. So the thing with the PPE is it's the materials that's made with, they expire within every 10 years. So, and we want to keep our people in something that is what the scientists and everybody that makes it says is going to protect them. So that's the problem with that is that each set just for a pant, the pants and the coats are somewhere in the $4,000 to $5,000 range. So that's where we're coming up on where several of those sets about to expire. So we do have what we need.
Does the police department have everything that they need?
We do. That's one of the things that we did early on in the year was buy all new bulletproof vests for everyone. They expire every 5 years. And I did some research, and it costs over $4,000 to equip one officer that we hire. That's just uniforms, vests, gun belts. It's crazy. Yeah, and then we have reoccurring costs of replacing items and buying vests every 5 years. So it's a challenge.
Well, we're on the subject of talking about protective equipment. If you don't mind me jumping on, would you like to talk a little bit about the MRAP?
Sure. The MRAP was Department of Defense vehicle that the Joplin Police Department had. They actually got another one, and they were only allowed to have two, so they gave away their other one, and we actually got possession of that free from them. We have not spent any money on it. I think we're still running on the same tank of gas that we drove from Joplin here, but we don't have shields, bulletproof shields. If we were to have a school shooting, we don't have helmets, we don't have shields. I mean, we're going to run into school with just a 3A vest. And if we have to evacuate people out of that area, or if we have shooting at a business or something, we have to evacuate people or get officers in close, that MRAP can get it in there. On the search and rescue side, it's like the floods we had in 2017. It would have been awesome to have that thing to pull people out of their houses and stuff. You can pull like 12 people at a time inside of that thing. So, it's been an asset, or will be an asset, but for tactical response for us, it's kind of all we got.
I saw that during Bear Fest, and it was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of intimidating. But it's they've taken all of the weaponry, everything out of it. It's more of a defensive vehicle.
So I know that a lot of police departments have K9. Is that something? And I know they're expensive. So is that something that you all have thought about? And what can the community do in order to help you?
Okay, so I had the last K9 that the city had, and it is expensive. I'm pro K9 just because I did it. My son's an instructor, master instructor in Arizona, has a K9. Assistant Chief Lewis handled K9s whenever he was with the military, and I don't know, it's just budgeting. There's a large expense, vehicles, equipment, vet bills. It'd be awesome if we could do it, but we have other priorities right now.
So what would be the cost of getting that and maintaining it? That's what
I haven't looked into it lately, but a good dog would be, Matt,
We spent $30,000.
Yeah.
$30,000 is what we just spent on the last dog insurance.
Then you're talking about equipping the vehicle with all the safety equipment.
Another $64,000 per dog.
Hot tops, and we kind of did the budget route last time with our dog, but it worked out good.
Yeah, and you can. I mean, there's avenues to get it, but it's still going to cost you, I would say, a minimum of anywhere from time you get your vet bills and all that jazz, you're going to spend around $7,000 to $10,000 a year.
So could you teach the new recruits how to spit out drugs and stuff?
What is the police department budget?
What is the police department budget?
This past year,
This past year was $861,400.
okay, more questions from the crowd? Okay, I have one more that is from me. We have someone sitting up here at the tables, way at the end. Hi. So we have Ryan Boyle coming on staff as our assistant chief of the police department. What is his background and his vision for the position?
So I know Ryan Boyle, he's worked here, we've been friends for several years. He's got a lot of law enforcement experience. He's very well respected in the law enforcement field. He's a good investigator. Worked on the drug task force. We're working fire investigation stuff now. We sat down, we discussed my vision for the office, and he's totally on board. And the boss let him tell you about it. So.
I'm actually kind of native here. Wasn't born here, but moved here when I was probably 2 years old, and went to school here, graduated high school here, so Willow is my hometown. And I've been in law enforcement for a little over 20 years, and like Chief Ellison said, I actually started my career here at Willow Springs, and then moved on to the Sheriff's Department and Drug Task Force, and for several years kind of geared my career towards drug enforcement. That was something that I enjoyed thoroughly. And now with the State Fire Marshal's Office investigating arson crimes, insurance frauds, those types of crimes. As far as my vision here is pretty straightforward with Chief Ellison. Like you said, we have talked extensively over the years that we've known each other, before he even became the police chief here. And one thing that we've always been pretty passionate on, that I look forward to seeing more of too, is building on, is community policing. Community policing in general is kind of a broad spectrum of what that could mean. But I know from pulling from my own experience while I was on patrol, if I saw somebody out in their yard or sitting on the porch drinking coffee, I would stop and get out and speak with them, ask them, hey, how are things going in your neck of the woods? Is there anything that we can be of help with? And that produces a lot of positive results. People start catching on to that. They see it. They're more apt to be receptive to us whenever we make contact with the public. It turns out being a more positive contact rather than a negative one. So that in turn will breed more trust in the department, support for the department, and ultimately, the vision is to utilize our best tools to prevent crime from happening, solve more cases, and then the biggest tool that we have on our belt is the people. There are far more eyes out there that see way more than what we have available, and at the end of the day, we're all living in this community. We're all part of this community, and it benefits both places. So I'm truly looking forward to being a part of that and building on that.
Thank you. Okay. We'll open it up, I think, one last time.
I want to ask you that a little bit. So with Chief Lewis here, when we first got together, we wanted to hire officers that aren't just going to be occupying a seat in a patrol car. A lot of officers get fired 2 or 3 times from other agencies. They'll go to a different agency, they'll pick them up because they need bodies. And we decided we'll go cover shifts if we have to do that. It gets down to it. And I think we got a great group of guys that are proactive. They take the initiative. They do whatever needs to be done. We have a great group of supervisors, and we're going to continue. If we need to hire someone, we're going to continue to keep people out there that's not just going to drive around and look pretty in the car. That's just out and handle stuff that needs to be handled.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. So we've got 3 in the back that haven't, I think that Carrie Gates, can you wave at everyone? Hey, Carrie. Dave Hawkins. And then is Joe back there? I'm having a hard time saying. Joe, can you come here?
So we've got three, and then we have Mike Zellers over here in the corner on my left-hand side, which you've already met. Ryan's coming on board. Jake, we've got Jake in the front that has been with us for quite some time. And then we have Jerry that actually helps us out when we need help. He actually works at the school. But, and then we've got Paul in the back that has been with us for a really long time. But if you look at these people, I mean, really basically, they're the same as you. They're just coming to work, but at the same time, they hear about people. This is their calling. It's not just by chance that you become a police officer. You choose to do that. And so I'm very proud of these guys. I'm proud of what Wes has done, along with Alan, to bring this department. I'm very proud. So I just want to give kudos to those guys in the back, but sure, you don't get to hear a lot of that. So thank you.
Our last call for questions from the audience. My goal here is for everyone to leave this room feeling as if we had a productive conversation. And that maybe you didn't like the answers, but at least they were answered to the best of these folks' abilities. So if we're feeling satisfied and ready to move on. Okay. I'd like to open it up to our public officials for any last party thoughts. We kind of did some of that, but if there's anything else that you want to add, you want to send these folks home with this evening, please do so.
Okay, I want to add that our board spirit at the city are always, if you have a question about something or concern, come to my office and talk to me. That's an open door policy. All of us, you can call me to your house, I'll come talk to you. It's not a problem. I want to clear things up for people and make them understand maybe why we're doing something a certain way. Again, I've been doing this 40 years. I just want to help. That's all I've ever done. I'm not looking for kudos or anything like that. People need to feel safe where they're living, and that's what we want to happen. For people to feel secure in their homes and secure in their community.
Yes, I do have some thoughts. Come on.
Yes, I do have something. First of all, I wanted to say, sometimes we get to hear the negative more than we get to hear the positive. But I really am, I just feel that I know that everybody on this stage and anybody that's in this position, we're blessed to live where we do. And I can go to the store and we can sit down and start talking about the craziest of things. I know Dean was ringing the bell and, and I'm sitting there talking to him and Marion before I turned around, and there was 4 other people trying to hug my neck and ask questions at the same time, and was walking with me in the store after they had already been in the store. So, I love living where we live, but really it doesn't come down to us. It really just comes down to the fact that we just got really good people that live here in this house. Yes, we do. Alex?
So I also feel blessed. I appreciate the opportunities that the city and Chief Ellison gives me to bring some of the challenges and things together. I like to help them solve problems. I think right now the volunteers that we have work on the Willow board and in our department we have some great upcoming talent. We do. I appreciate everybody's willingness to volunteer, and maybe someday we will have a staff department. That would be great. I think if I was here long term, that would be my goal. This chapter is getting ready to close, and I'm thankful for us. That was just the council. I think Brian's going to be a great fit. I appreciate Sam's willing to have my back. All the responses that these guys have done, day and night. It's been an honor working for us.
Sam, anything to close with? No? Okay.
Well, for my part, I want to commend the folks who are sitting up here on this stage. It is not easy to do. to sit here and not know what kind of questions might be coming your way. But if there's one thing that I want you to take home with you tonight, that everyone who's up here was willing to do this, to answer whatever questions you brought here tonight, no matter how controversial they might be, because they do. In my experience as a press, they do want that positive relationship with the public. So, and I would say that 1,000 times a day. So, kudos to you all. Thank you so much for the service, for everything that you do for Willow Springs. And with that, and we're going to say good night. Everyone drive safe. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.